Long time no see. Welcome to the Parlay Parlor. Today is January 27th. It's about 4:30, and let's get into some props. Well, actually, before we get started with today's programming, I thought let's just have a little forward. Maybe let's have some catch-up time. It's probably been nearly a year since I've come onto this channel. Well, probably less than that. I want to say probably shortly after March Madness, around April was when I posted my last video. I guess I don't really have a reason for why I stopped recording. And honestly, when I look back at my results and more importantly, my more recent outcomes when it comes to sports gambling, I kind of don't know why I ever stopped, even though, yes, there was a low audience, but Rome wasn't built in a day. I believe that when I record my props and I at least try to give some sound backing behind it, I feel inclined to believe that I've looked into it more. I've done a little bit more thorough research than what I would typically do when I have downtime in the office or I'm stuck in traffic and I just kind of go through the various sports books and see what I like. Seeing what you like and emotional gambling really isn't it for me. Now, again, I don't think there is a one true way to anything. If you like just ripping away parlay lottos, power be to you. If you just believe in strictly running straights and just a unit per bet, more power to you. You want to be a degenerate and fill all of the above, more power to you. I guess what my goal and ambition is for me to at least help you, and more importantly, I guess help myself find some value in the props that we donate to a lot. Let's try to make it less donated and let's take some back from Vegas. All right, with all that said, I have 6 props for you today. Some of them will be at around fair value and some will be roughly parlay pieces. But I realized that back in my previous recordings, my parlay pieces would be a lot heavily juiced. I'm talking about minus 165, minus 175, bordering on to minus 200, all totals, in the hopes that watering it down makes it safer, when in reality, if we're trying to water down a line that the books have put has a disadvantage for the player, sure, if we try to water it down, we reach their average or close to their average, we think that we have a little bit of buffer. But again, if you're betting on a disadvantaged line, you're already playing into Vegas's hand. With all that said, let's go into our first prop. And I know it's probably not the most enticing after I just rambled about giving you value, and the first thing you see is a minus 146. Dylan Brooks, rebounds and assist. Matchup, again, Brooklyn Nets, hypothetically, arguably, worst team in the NBA besides MPJ just ending the possession. To his benefit, to the Nets' disbenefit, I don't know, but he's averaging 30. With all that said, Dylan Brooks, 5.5 rebounds and assist. Across the season, it doesn't look that enticing, I understand. Only 18 out of 40 games, hitting at a 45% hit rate. When you put into the last 5, it does look a lot more promising, and I think this is going to lead into what I'm trying to get with here. When we look at last 10, 7 of the last 10, last 20, 6 of the last 20, I want to attribute this to the Suns started this season abysmally. But if we look quite recently, they've been one of the best teams in the Western Conference. In terms of form, they're on a pretty good run. I mean, for a team that people thought were arguably down and out, they're looking similar to the Clippers. While I'm not going to put them as perennial competitors or front runners for the NBA finals, this is a team that if you come into the play-in or if you are a slightly lower seed, you might not want to meet these guys. So in most recent matches, Dylan Brooks has been covering this line, which I love. I think the most important thing today here is if we look at the injury report, Devin Booker is not going to play today. And Jalen Green, until we get 3 games in a row, 4 games of a row, even with him coming off the bench, I want him to at least get those bench minutes consecutively before I feel concerned that he's going to take away from the options for other people to facilitate. And even if I'm taking a risk and Jalen Green might be healthy to play some minutes today, Jalen Green isn't the most efficient shooter in the world anyway, so there should be a plethora of rebound opportunities. Um, Dylan Brooks' matchup, I would assume, would probably be one of Michael Porter, or let's push it, maybe Igor. In any case, so we're talking about guys that love to do spot up shooting. In Igor's case, maybe there won't be much of a defensive matchup there since he's more primarily catch and shoot. He doesn't create his own shot. But I can see Brooks latch himself to Michael Porter. Michael Porter goes to the rim. Michael Porter shoots from anything. The rebound opportunity should be there, especially if if Nick Claxton and Mark Williams are boxing each other around. Royce O'Neal and probably Terrence Mann or Dwight Powell will probably be in some kind of a box out situation as well too. If we look down at rebound opportunities across the last 5 games, we can probably ignore these outliers here against the Hawks and the Heat, especially considering that he reached his rebound line, which I think was 3.5 and 4.5 in both of these games. I think it was 3.5 against Atlanta, 4.5 against Miami. He covered both of those lines. But for a 5.5 rebounds and assists line, yes, it's a scary low line. It's juiced. If you don't like that, you want a little bit more value, I'm not against it. You can gladly go for 6.5. When we look at the filters without Devin Booker, again, it's not going to be the most enticing and compelling to you. Especially when we look across this season, he's only hit it at a 40% clip 2 out of 5 times. But again, if we look at a lot of these, this was definitively before the renaissance of the Suns. I mean, look, we have the near 40-point blowout against OKC. We have a game where they did pretty decent. They won against the Timberwolves. They lost to the Rockets again. I think that was his first game back in Houston. So revenge, a little bit of a revenge script there. And most recently against Miami. And I think Devin Booker played in this game. Actually, no, he did not play in this game. So the most recent outcome without Devin Booker, he's covered this line. If we go down to supporting data, again, rebound chances, let's ignore that. Rebound chances, I think it's a good supporting stat, but only if you're a center. And I say that because they're closest to the basket. They're going to be under the rim in, I don't want to say most outcomes, but in a large assortment of outcomes. So when you see rebound chances of less than 10 and you have a guy that has a rebounds line, which if I'm not mistaken, is probably 4.5, 3.5, and heavily juiced. So again, this is a line that I like, not just because it's juiced, but just in terms of, again, the Nets, they're not the best team, but they have these fluky instances where they'll have a terrible game, like the game against the Knicks where they didn't even get 70 points, and I think they won their very next game afterwards. The game after that, they were in Los Angeles, and they got dog-walked over. So if we are going to go off of their kind of yo-yo form, good game, bad game, bad game, good game, I'm not going to say that this is a game that the Nets are going to win. I'm not going to give you guys that. I think they're a plus 350 right now. Hey, if you want to do it, go for it. I don't see them winning even without Devin Booker for the Suns. I think there's just enough quality at home to get them over the hump. But back to just what I wanted to illustrate when it comes to the supporting data. Let's go back to 5.5. In terms of potential assist, again, we're not looking at Dylan Brooks to assist at all. He's not someone that's going to look and facilitate for others. He's kind of a Michael Porter Jr. in himself, in his own regard, where the possession will often end with him if the ball gets in his hands. That's not a down trade of him or a downfall of him. He is a streaky shooter, but again, streaky shooters have that reputation because there are times when they get hot. But again, so supporting argument. Let me stop rambling. Devin Booker's out. As you can see, potential assists, they don't skyrocket, but actually, I'll comparably say that they skyrocket. If we look, he's averaging 2.4 with Devin Booker in most games. Yeah. 3, 5, 1, 1, 5. And he's only getting one assist. And sometimes he is accomplishing his, actually, that's pretty interesting. So it looks like his assist to potential assist ratio is almost 1-to-1. I mean, 5 potentials, 5 assists, 3 potentials, 3 assists. So it looks as if the majority of his assists, he's not a dimer. He's not going to be someone that tries to thread the needle. It's probably, if he gets posted up, he doesn't like the matchup, he's going to dish it to someone that probably has a easier matchup or can probably slash the basket. But without Booker, it goes up to 2.6, probably not the most compelling again, but the potentials go up more. I respect the potential assist stat more than rebound chances because at least the potential assist, you put the ball into the hands of someone who had the opportunity to create a shot or take a shot. They don't choose to do that. They choose not to do that. It's a little less harsh than a rebound chance because I think I'll probably do a little bit more of a vocabulary research for you guys, but I think a rebound chance is if a shot attempt misses and it's in your general vicinity, I want to say within 6 feet. That's a very arbitrary term, in my opinion. So I think, honestly, 5.5 assists without Devin Booker, 5.5 rebounds and assists for Dylan Brooks. I'm not mad at it. I like it. I'm probably going to use it as a parlay piece when you see some of the other props and the prices that they have. But if you are looking for straight value, I wouldn't be too mad at 6.5. There is just a slight risk of a potential blowout because we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets. But at the same time, for as much as the Suns have had this renaissance, there is no promise on whether or not, and Devin Booker's out. So there's no promise on whether or not that they're going to wipe the floor with the Nets. We can't assume that it's going to be a 40-point blowout by halftime. Dylan Brooks, 5.5 rebounds and assists. If you want a little bit more value, you can take 6.5 rebounds and assists at plus money. I am perfectly fine with either one. Next one, we're going to go to Bobby Portis, 25 points and rebounds. So I guess the theme of the first 2 picks is actually the theme of 3 of the picks today are going to be injury reports again. And this one is a more obvious one. Giannis is going to be out for the foreseeable future. Hypothetically, I'm not going to take any bets on it, but has he played his last game in Milwaukee? Potentially. So with Giannis out, that's a huge void that needs to be filled. Who's going to take it? When we look at the expected lineup, it looks like they're going to go out with a front court of Kuzma and Miles Turner. Not to be expected, which is to be expected. But Bobby Portis will see every bit of probably 30 minutes. If we look at games without Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's getting 27.5 minutes. Weird is I would have to look to see if maybe he was coming back from his own injury because these are relatively low minutes. I mean, I think these are minutes that he averages even with Giannis in the lineup. Yeah, he's averaging 24, so a 3-minute bump isn't that much as compared to when we look at the more recent games without Giannis. I want to say after December 14th, he's getting 30 minutes minimum. And it's not as if any of these are games that are going to overtime. I just think that there's probably something that caused him to not play his regular minutes or regular minutes without Giannis. Because without Giannis, you would almost instantly insert Bobby Portis into the starting lineup. Of course, there is no one-to-one replacement for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but Bobby Portis doesn't do too bad in his own own regard. And if we look at the hit rate without Giannis in his last 10, 60% across the season, he's hit this at a 57% hit rate. Last 5 without Giannis, 60. In terms of the rebound chances that he's going to get, again, this is where I say that I like rebound chances when it comes to someone to a position where you can expect them to be near the rim, under the rim, the majority of defensive possessions, and if they get the opportunity for putbacks. And as we let's not dive too much into offensive defensive rebounds. I think when you go into that much at that point, just go invest. But in terms of rebound chances, he's averaging 15 rebound chances. And when we look at what he's converting them at a pretty decent clip, 20 rebound chances, 12 rebounds, 16, 9. If you're converting at a close to 50% clip on your rebound opportunities, and again, when we look at before December 18th, December 14th, and prior, if we expand that to last 20, he wasn't converting his rebound chances at a clip that I would be content with. 11, 5, 16, 8. Okay, still 50% clip. And then when we look at his field goals that he's attempting without Giannis, well, let's look with Giannis. How many field goals is he taking? He's only taken 10 shot attempts on average. Let's look at the last 10 just to have a better idea. He's taken 12, 14, 15, 8, 12. And this is with Giannis. So let's look up without Giannis. 14, 12, 17, 16. And again, when we look at the outlier, which I would say was probably the start of the season, he's getting less minutes. I will probably look and I'll put in the comments if there was something that was stopping Bobby from getting his full usage. If we look at the matchup, 2 power forwards, it's a very, very favorable matchup. The 76ers rank 23rd in the league, 2 points allowed to the power forward position. And more importantly, they are the worst team in the NBA when it comes to defending rebounds to the power forward position. That's not to be without shock. I mean, when we look at their front court, Joel Embiid, as much as he's had a renaissance the last couple of games, we're still talking about a guy with glass knees. If he goes for a dunk, he's going to do a barrel roll to protect his knees when he lands. And Spicy P, Paul George, Podcast P, as I'm talking into a podcast mic myself. Again, while he has had a little bit of a resurgence himself, we're seeing a lot more, I want to say a lot more of Pacers Paul George. We're seeing maybe an homage to Pacers Paul George. We're still talking about 2 guys well into their 30s. Both with probable and questionable tags. And then if we look into the second unit, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the likes of like probably Adam Bona, potentially Andre Drummond. The chances will be there for Bobby Portis. And then especially if we look at similar players or I guess power forwards that have played the 76ers recently, Grant Williams, who hasn't played a game in like I think 2 years, covered his line of points and rebounds. OG Anunoby, Kevin Durant, Tari Easton. The point goes that when you look at this list, Evan Mobley, Pascal, even Jabari Smith, if also Iguodaro, while they may not play with the first unit or they play with the second unit, they are one of the 3 main scoring options. And I think that plays highly into our favor. Again, and it's a great price line. -114, can't be mad. And when you look how Hard Rock is offering it at 25.5 or -110. If you care that much about value, go ahead and take it. I'm perfectly content with Bobby Portis' 25 points and rebounds. And now staying with the Milwaukee Bucks and 76ers game, we're going to go to VJ Edgecombe. We're going to give him 3.5 assists. I contemplated giving him 5 assists at +125, but the hit rates are just not there at all, and there was no amount of filters that I can put in to reasonably justify giving that to him. So at 4 assists, again, heavily juiced like Dylan Brooks, -160. Maybe if you wanted to, you could parlay piece these two together. Get yourself relatively fair odds. I think probably a +175, +210-ish. But this one is easy. The big three are playing. So if we play this out and we look at filters with games with Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey across this season, he's hitting at a 64% hit rate. Basically, what I'm trying to say is when the big three play, as great and as explosive as VJ has started his NBA career, if the big three are playing, get in the corner and shoot and pass. That's basically his job. And that is not disingenuine. His meteoric rookie season, great. He's one of the front runners for Rookie of the Year. It's just the role that we're putting him in. He is currently playing with 2 future Hall of Famers and one of the a dark horse for the MVP. I don't know how much Maxey can keep up, especially with the way that Nick Nurse is running him into the ground. But the case in point is that when these three are playing, and Kelly Oubre is back, so Kelly Oubre will do his own bit of creating too. VJ Edgecombe's role is going to be to facilitate. When we look at the potential assist with these guys, he's getting this at a perfect clip. He's getting 9, 11, 10, 10, and even the ones where he's not, he is converting them at a great clip, 100% conversion, roughly 45%, way more than that. So the data, again, data will make everything look good, but this is one of those where the data feels good and it just genuinely the data looks good and it feels good. Even if we look at it without those players and just in normal games this season, he's still averaging 6.7 potential assists. If we look in the last 10, 9, 4, and and again, probably those filters of with and without probably don't do us the most justice since the 76ers have been surprisingly relatively healthy recently. So case in point, VJ Edgecombe, 3.5 assists. This one, unlike Dylan Brooks, I wouldn't advise you juicing it up just because the hit rates are just so abysmal. If you could talk yourself into the narrative that without Giannis, the Bucks are gonna middle out, I won't say that they don't have anything to play for, but it's looking pretty grim for them, then you could lean into it and say that, hey, maybe the 76ers will definitely run it up on them. But then again, the issue could be there's a blowout and then he's not going to see his full minutes, and potentially 4.5 and 3.5 are in danger. But let's not speak down on what we have hopes for. VJ Edgecombe, 3.5 assists. All right, we are currently 23 minutes, halfway through. We're halfway through the props we have today. I'm going to try to see if I'll probably write some notes, so I'm rambling less, but I'm going to try to get these under 30 minutes or within 30 minutes going forward. Hey, if we somehow go for a sweep or we go 4-2 or 5-1, then maybe rambling is good. On to our fourth prop of the night. We are going to go to Oklahoma City, and we got the Pelicans taking on the Thunder. Herb Jones back in the lineup. We're going to go for 3 rebounds. Heavily juiced. I know I sound like a hypocrite. I started off saying that I'm going to try to give you less watered down parlay pieces, but this isn't watered down. It's his line. Again, I mean, the risk is there that this is going to be a blowout. It is a 10 points, 14-point spread. Jesus Christ, Cobbs, what are you doing here? Anyway, anything can happen in the NBA. I mean, didn't the Thunder just lose their last game? There is a revenge spot here. But Herb Jones, 3 rebounds. He's going to be the primary defender on SGA, I would reckon. And with all the way that SGA likes to score and get to the rim, we have every chance that the opportunities will be there for Herb Jones to get those rebounds. When we look at the matchup, it is not the most enticing when we look at how OKC defends rebounds to the small forward position. I wouldn't be so worried about that though, just because of how many people are just out right now. I mean, they're missing Caruso, they're missing J-Dub, they're missing Hartenstein, they're missing AJ Mitchell. Case and Wallace is questionable. As good as this OKC team is, a lot of this team, it comes to the depth that they have. When SGA and J-Dub are out, you have AJ Mitchell that can come in. You have Hartenstein that can swap out, or actually Hartenstein starts with Chet Holmgren. You would have the other J-Dub who is starting today come into that second unit, and their second unit is arguably better than or on par with a lot of first units in the league. You give all these injuries, and now they're kind of forced to play with a thinner bench. I'm not going to say that, again, I'm not like the Nets and Suns. I'm not saying that Brooklyn is going to win. I'm not saying New Orleans is going to win. But if we were going to look for a potential spot where the numbers aren't going to scream and say, this is going to be an upset, underdog wins, but the underdog might be there. I saw a fun fact where for the first time in his career, Zion has played 23 consecutive games. I mean, low key, if you're a team that's trading Wizards, you may potentially want to buy low on him right now. But this isn't about Zion, it's about Herb Jones. If we look across the season, he's hitting this at a 56% hit rate. He was injured at the start of the season, so let's go off the last 5, the last 10. He's hitting this at a great clip. He's getting the rebound chances to support it. I know I say I don't like low rebound chances, but again, for a small forward, especially one that is so defensively inclined like Herb Jones, I don't feel as concerned leaning onto the supporting data like that. If we look at similar players or small forwards that have played OKC recently, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Nesmith, all of them have roughly hit their lines, and the ones that haven't have been chalked by 1. Or in the case of Keldon Johnson, he's not starting. He's a part of the second unit against OKC, and I think that wasn't the cup game. I think that was the revenge game after the Spurs beat them 3 times in a row. I think OKC won by 22. But case in point, when we look at all the other ones, they are hitting their lines or they are just getting there. For 3 rebounds, it is a little trappy. It is a little trappy because it's just 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and take the under for plus 122 then. Be my guest. I have a rule of thumb where unless it's an obvious one, like, hey, like Maxine Renard, under rebounds. Yeah, he recently was getting them, but with Sabonis back in the lineup, and he's part of the second unit with Precious, he's not going to get those. 3 rebounds, it's just such a low line that I can't confidently take an under on this and feel safe. I would rather bet into the juice, parlay it up. Maybe you want to do a three-way parlay. Herb Jones, VJ Edgecombe, Dylan Brooks. Be done for the day. I think that's probably a play that I'm going to do myself. Again, there is a little bit of a blowout risk, and when you look at the price that other books are offering it at, it is heavily juiced. It is only 3 rebounds, but again, we do have a spread here that is daunting and concerning, and we're talking about the defending NBA champions. But again, let's not speak down on what we hope for. Let's move on. Herb Jones, 2.5 rebounds. We're going to go over to Detroit and Denver, and we have the Pistons taking on the Nuggets. I'm going to go for a prop that personally I've been betting for some time this season, and it's Osher Thompson, 6 rebounds. When we look at, first and foremost, I mean, the Nuggets are banged up. There's no Jokic, there's no Gordon, there's no Christian Braun. His matchup is going to be Spencer Jones. It's compelling. The Nuggets are 23rd in the league. They're the 7th worst defense in the league. 2 rebounds allowed to the small forward position. And we're looking at a line that Osher is hitting at a 65% clip across the season, 70% clip across his last 20, 80% clip across his last 10, and 5. So in terms of recent hit rates and recency bias, the checks, the check marks here. It's very compelling. In terms of rebound opportunities, again, very compelling. Again, the one game against the Kings, I mean, that was a near 30-point blowout. We can ignore that. But in every other game, that is relatively close. Even in a blowout, he's still getting it. He's getting his rebound chances, and he's converting them at a very efficient clip. He's a starter, while granted he will probably share responsibility with the likes of, Karis LeVert is injured. He's not going to be playing. Okay. And while he is a shooting guard, it's not going to change much for him. Tobias Harris, I think while Tobias Harris is back, I still think he's coming up into health. And Duncan Robinson is Duncan Robinson. You're going to get a lights out shooter, or you're going to get a brick house on any given day. And in that case, I think it really does support us. I mean, when we look at the matchup, we're going to have Jonas Valanciunas on Duren, Peyton Watson. If he does play, I do see that those are Q tags on, but they probably will play since I think Watson didn't play against Milwaukee on Friday. Same for Jamal Murray. So I think all of Denver's probables will play. The opportunities should be there. The opportunities will be there. Let's not be delusional, but at the same time, it's a matchup that just makes sense. And we're talking about the 23rd ranked team when it comes to rebounds to the small forward position. If we say that when Duren goes out and Stewie comes in, we're talking about a team that is still ranked 16th at the power forward and 17th at the center positions. So it's not as if they're going to be lights out in terms of boxing out the perimeter or the rim. And when we look at where he gets his rebound opportunities at, they're relatively even across the board. He's going to get defensive rebounds and instantly kick it to Cade to start the offense, or he's going to get a putback or a potential putback. He'll get the rebound, but whether or not he's going to put it back afterwards leads to be determined. This is the first one where, in terms of similar player or recent small forwards to the position, it's not the most compelling in our favor. I probably will. My argument to that would be that Chris Middleton is kind of on a de facto farewell tour right now. He's not playing much. Champagny, same thing. And especially if the likes of Alex Sarr is healthy, he's not going to see much opportunities. And again, Justin Champagny, he's not, unless he's playing, has that focal front court presence. A 7.5 rebound line is always going to be difficult for him to get unless he's getting his full minutes. LeBron is LeBron. Brandon Miller is a shooter when he needs to be. Miles Bridges, same thing. Conker Nipples, same thing. Will Riley, same thing. And then Justin Champagny literally just hit that line right before that even get there. And Chris Middleton and Najee Marshall. And those are guys that all previously had missed it before. But in terms of supporting data, I like it. I mean, this might be one of my fundamentals, this might just be the floater, like Lou Dort 2 threes. It's safe, it's familiar to me, but I want to make it familiar to you. He hits it at a very good rate. The less spoken about Thompson, but arguably just as good, give him 6 rebounds. Not juiced that much, minus 123. If you have some kind of superstition about odds, maybe that 123 is trappy to you. Not to me. I like it. I like the value. A backup line that I did like would have been the points and rebounds, but then I just looked at it and it's not a compelling hit rate at all. The matchup is great in terms of the points, but I'm notoriously a terrible points prop guy, and that doesn't bode well for. Well, my second one was Bobby Portis points and rebounds, but I just mean in terms of when it comes to guys that aren't that number one option or that number two option, I struggle when it comes to taking them for their points. That's me personally speaking. If you see something here in the data that kind of supports points and rebounds for Osher, by all means, be my guest. But I'm more comfortable with the 6 rebounds. Wow, 35 minutes, I guess. Hey, first day back, we'll get back into the swing of things. But also, I guess I want to say that I've put more effort into this one. I'm talking about the props more. I know when we were previously doing the videos, I had I had a spreadsheet. I also did a PowerPoint of me showing the props themselves. I will get back to doing that. We'll start that tomorrow with the results of today's bets. If you're still here, I want to thank you. If you can like and subscribe and share, I would appreciate that. I do apologize if somehow you are one of the few viewers that are watching me last season and you did see some value and wondered why I disappeared. I'm not gonna lie, I think we had a pretty good day. I want to say it was after the Super Bowl, and I kind of just went down a spiral. I was hot, and I thought that, hey, maybe I could just start betting, and I'm gonna come back and just show you guys all these results and be like, hey, look at how much I made. I was donating. I was putting in bets that I wasn't researching. I wasn't putting in the time for. So again, like I said, I'm doing this series again because one, I genuinely do like talking about this. I mean, for as much time and money that I spend doing this, I feel as if I should document it at least for my own records to see if this is profitable. But I also do think that, and I hope hearing someone kind of go over these things can maybe help you make your own selections. Last prop on the card tonight, we are going to go with Isaiah Collier under points, rebounds, and assists. This again, probably like I said earlier, the theme of half of the props today are injury reports. Keontae George is finally getting some rest today. I mean, this season he has been going crazy. I think his last 3 games, he's shot the ball 65 times, and it finally came to fruition that he was starting to get a little bit taxed in the Miami game on Saturday. So we're going to go with Isaiah Collier under 28 PRA. When we look at games without Keontae George, I do have without Keontae George, right? It's now 5 a.m. I do have work soon. Yeah, okay, good. When we look at it across the season, he's only played 1 game without Keontae George, and that was against the Clippers. But this was, the Clippers have been on fire. Honestly, I want to say they've been probably one of the best teams in the league since the turn of the year, especially, but maybe a little bit before that. So I'm not too sure to say whether or not this was during the midst of that, in the midst of that renaissance, or just prior to it. But at the same time, we're talking about Isaiah Collier almost getting a fucking triple-double. Again, one of the most frustrating players, in my opinion, to bet on. He's extremely streaky. He'll get it 1 minute, and he won't get it the next. He will be a ball hog 1 game, and then he will want to be prime Chris Paul the next game. But if we want a little bit more recency bias, and it is unfortunately going to stretch into last season, which I know we shouldn't do, but when there is just such little history to kind of support it, we need to look at comparable matchups and the most recent ones we can think of. I would say the Clippers are probably on par with Boston, who ranked as again that was with Tatum and the whole team. So that again, this isn't the most accurate comparison on this final prop, and I do apologize for that. But I just think for a team, and especially with Ty Lue and just how ambitious this Clippers team has come in to say that, hey, yeah, we started slow. And then there were the jokes that James Harden is trying to save the league from making sure that OKC doesn't get a highly touted lottery pick from the Clippers doing bad to them arguably going into the play-in, maybe even a lot higher. And they're definitely a team that if they do make the playoffs, they're not going to be a team you're going to want to face. I saw a stat where the Clippers would be the first team to finish the season 500 or above after starting the first 25 games below 500, which I think is bonkers. If they do that, it's a testament to the camaraderie on the team. Is it with CP3 gone? We'll let that argument be for another day. Maybe we'll do a basketball podcast on the side too. But back to the Utah Jazz, no Keontae George. If we look at who else Utah will be missing, I mean, Walker Kessler, he's been out for the season. That's been well known. Lauri Markkanen will most likely make his return today to the lineup. So that'll push Yusuf Nurkic back out. If you want to potentially look up Yusuf Nurkic props, I wouldn't be mad at that. But in terms of the point guard, power forward, or I guess the facilitator score relationship, Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen, they have the bond. They have the symbiotic connection. Isaiah Collier, while he will dish assist out to everybody, and there's the chance that we are betting into a line where he's going to get 12 assists and 10 points. And now it's a little bit scary because he does get boards from time to time. The Clippers are a relatively decent team right now. Yes, they're the seventh. They're the seventh best defense when it comes to points allowed. Rebounds to point guard position, they're the 20th. They're ranked 20th. Again, not the worst, not the best. And assist allowed, which I do like in our favor. While it's not favorable, it's not unfavorable, it's neutral, I'm content with that. I mean, if Isaiah Collier comes and he gets another double-double, we deserve to lose this bet. That's fine. And when I say double-double, I mean he gets 15 points, 10 assists. At that point, it's chalked. I'm sorry. Of course, his minutes are going to skyrocket. We're talking about a guy that's playing full minutes. But again, we're looking at a spread, which I think is 9-point spread. Not the worst, not the best. A little bit leaning more towards the books expect Los Angeles to not necessarily wipe the floor with the Jazz, but to get the job done. Everyone's healthy. While Chris Dunn and Kawhi will have Q tags, I think Kawhi has a perennial Q tag on him. If we want to look up similar point guards that have gone against the Clippers, I would probably match the likes of Marcus Smart, Bob Carrington, and not because they've gone in, they align with my idea of them going under, just the style of play, and I guess kind of the role that they will play, that the role that they'll be in terms of facilitating and not scoring as much, especially if Markkanen is playing. Markkanen is going to be chucking shots up all night. Ace Bailey, if he's going to play, he's been prone to chuck up shots too. Wow, for however efficient he is. Isaiah Collier under 28 points, rebounds, and assists. I don't hate it. I won't say I love it. I like it. I like all of these. Yeah, let's how about this? Let's get rid of the terminology of love. You can never love a prop. There's nothing that's a guarantee. But I guess that's it, guys. We are going on 45 minutes now. Wow. If you're still here, again, I do want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. The props today: Dylan Brooks, 5.5 rebounds and assists. Bobby Portis, 25 points and rebounds. BJ Edgecombe, 4 assists. Herb Jones, 2.5, 3 rebounds. Usher Thompson, 6 rebounds. And Isaiah Collier, 28 points, rebounds, and assists. This is Cobbs with the Parlay Parlor. May the odds be ever in your favor. God bless.